What I'm going to do is lay up a fiberglass nose cone. I have a mold, two-part mold, and I've already waxed it using tap wax mold release. I get a lot of stuff from Tap Plastics. It's a mold I made up from a plug, so both have been waxed. I'm going to set one off to the side. We have the fiberglass that we're going to put in here, and it's cut in 3 different sizes, shapes. That we have this shape here that's going to go all the way up in the nose cone, and some shorter pieces we're going to do like 3 or 4 ply up here, 5, 6 through here, and then 7 or so down here on the shoulder. To figure out how much epoxy I needed, what I did is I took the fiberglass, I weighed it, I weighed it, made up that much epoxy plus a little bit more, and that tells me how much epoxy I need for this amount of glass. The amount of fiberglass is 185 grams. I made up about 220 grams of epoxy. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to put epoxy in here, just painting it in. And the whole thing about this is it takes a lot of prep. You'll see throughout the video of a bunch of things I had to do before I even started at this point here to get them ready. We're just painting this in here, nice and thick, just like the tubes. We're going to pull the excess glass or epoxy up through it. Take our glass, we're going to start in the tip of the nose cone. Now pull this right to the edge of the mold. If it's hanging up, I can pull it down. If it's too low, I can move it around wherever I want it. Gonna wet everything out. Getting that last little bit in there. Next piece is going to go on the other side, starting with the tip. And these pieces are only getting laid up right to the shoulder. In the mold, the shoulder is the low point here, and we're going to build that up. And then we'll span the gap there a little bit later. Pulling it up to the side so everything's flush along here. If you use heavier weight fiberglass, it doesn't conform as well either. So it's a little bit harder to work with. This is just like the tubes. The more thinner layers, it's like plywood, the stronger it's going to be. So that's 2 pieces of these large triangles. body tubes are 6 layers, but this mold doesn't need 6 layers up here, it only needs like 3. And then we're going to stagger the thicknesses, the number of layers, as we come down through here on the bigger part of the nose cone mold. Okay, this next one we're going to bring it up like an inch over this side of the mold. And what we're going to do is we're going to use that when we join the 2 halves. Okay? So we have it sticking up about an inch on this side. Going to wet it out. Next piece is going right in the middle. If your pieces are too long, or weird shape, feel free to cut them. Wetting everything out. Okay, so that gives me 3 layers up front. I'm going to put another piece over here where I'm going to be joining them. I don't like to make up the halves and make them level and then come back after they set up and try to join them. I feel that's kind of a cold joint. Okay, those are going to be extra. Now you can see these are a little bit different shape. They're going to start down here where it needs to be a little bit thicker. It extends down just to, starts up onto the shoulder, or past the shoulder, the part that goes in the body tube. Laying this one in the middle. Now I'm pressing pretty hard, trying to get the epoxy to wet out that's already in there. It's been pretty wet up to this point. So I have 3 or 4 layers from here to here, and now I have 4 layers from here down. Okay, this other one's going to be a long one on this side. So 3, 4 to 5 layers. Now I have some shorter ones. Once I get done with this half, I'm going to turn the video off. I'll do the other one, and then we'll start videotaping again. Running this one long. This shape of this nose cone is it's called the 100K. Aeropac Group was trying to send a rocket to 100,000 feet, two-stage, and 5100 to M1000, and a bunch of research and data was obtained, and a shape was obtained, and I have the program and I can enter it for various rockets. Most of my rockets all have the same style of nose cone. It's pretty good for what I do. One more right in the middle. Just trying to get all the epoxy used up, wetting everything out. Okay, that's what we have. It's pretty flush on this side. It hangs over quite a bit on this side. I'm going to start on this other mold. When I get it done, or half, I'll start the video back up. Okay, I have the other mold done, and you can see that the overhang is on the same side of both the molds. So what I'm going to do now is take some epoxy, and I'm going to wet out this side really good. Make sure I got plenty of epoxy on this inside, because I'm getting ready to join the two halves. Okay, I have my nuts and bolts here and a tool. I'm going to take the two halves and they're going to clamshell together. So you can see how the long side on each side is going to go inside each one and then gets bolted together. There's 13 bolts here. I think I'm going to take my gloves off. trying to hurry. Let's try this. That's not helping. So the next step is going to be to take my paintbrush and tap down both sides. Now I have a stick over here that I'm going to use to do that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an anchor point up in top of the nose cone there. Because how I use these is this is where my main parachute goes. And because of that, the inside of this nose cone needs to be really smooth. And so what I also do is I have some peel ply cut in wedges that I'm going to drop down inside this. And then I have a balloon that's been inflated to stretch it out. And it's going to force that peel ply to smooth things out. Does that make sense? Couple more. Okay, we're going to put this in the vise. And all I'm doing is going down inside and I'm tapping it to get that seam to flatten out. Okay, one side's done. The other side's done. Now, what I'm going to do is this is my anchor point. I'm going to epoxy the ball. I'm going to stick it in here and I'm going to set it down in the tip of that nose cone. So now I'm getting all kinds of epoxy on this. That's all the way down there. I'm going to take this all thread and push that out so it stays. I have my peel ply. I'm going to fold these wedges in half and kind of crease them. Then after I get these in, I have a balloon that's been inflated to help stretch it out. And I have that balloon tied to a piece of latex tubing so that I can use it like a straw, so I can inflate it several different places in here. Okay, here's my balloon that's been inflated. I'm going to stick it down in here. And then I'm going to inflate it by blowing on this end. I'll let it hold a little bit there. I'm going to let it deflate, and I'll keep doing this a whole bunch of different times. And it just helps work the epoxy out. Helps seal the seams together, helps make it nice and smooth inside, because that's where my main parachute goes. Okay, I'm just finishing up getting the screws out of this mold. We're going to see if we can get it apart. Went pretty good yesterday. We have some screwdrivers. Just splitting the two halves in half. Bunch of flashing on here. Get the peel ply out. My balloon down inside there. Have my anchor point.